Hello and a very warm welcome to the Late Breaking F1 podcast presented by Harry Eade, Sam Sage and me, Ben Hocking, reviewing today what the streets are calling the 2024 Qatar Grand Prix. I think. I don't know, Sam. What was that?
If the streets are calling it the Grand Prix, then, you know, I guess we should call it the Grand Prix as well, because there was more violence on that racetrack than I've seen on the streets in many a day. What a mess. So much to dig into. So many bizarre moments that I don't really understand. A few headaches and one big old joke. So that's good stuff. Well done. Well done, Formula One.
Good stuff. I hate the Qatar GP.
You know what?
You called it, didn't you, at the start of the week?
I called it. I hate it.
You've never been more right about something.
Never been more right.
Aside from all the antics that we'll get into very shortly, the track, for F1 purposes, it is garbage.
It sucks.
It is rubbish.
Yeah, last year gave me false hope with the tyres. This year was just poo-poo.
Do you know what would be good for an F1 track?
What's that, mate?
A heavy braking zone.
Overtaking opportunities.
Sure. I don't know
Anyway.
why we didn't think of that before.
Let's get to the one with the ramp. Let's go.
Let's do that. You know those really simple, like, yes, no, like, diagrams?
Yes. No.
It's just like, did you overtake at turn 1? Yes, you made it happen. No, you're stuck. Like, those are the two options. Like, there's nothing else in between.
T1 on nowhere.
Yeah, this could be an interesting episode, folks. If we get through the next 75 minutes or so without swearing, I will be astonished, but we're going to give it a go. Moment of the race coming up later on. As always on these episodes, we've got talk about the crazy first lap. Remember, that did happen today. At least people are telling me that happened today. We had punctures galore for Carlos Sainz, for Lewis Hamilton. We'll get into that as well. But let's start out front, where Max Verstappen, who qualified on pole, but then didn't qualify on pole, we'll get to that a little bit later on as well, managed to go from second place in the end to claim victory. Lando Norris was his main challenger for much of the day until Lando Norris received the penalty for failing to slow under yellow flag conditions. Let's start with Verstappen though, Sam. How impressed were you with that victory?
Just ticks another box, isn't he? Just another box of greatness. Just he's going, oh, you're going to pop me back a place? No worries. I'll still be at the front by the time we get to the first lap, end of the first lap. Yeah, he was flawless. He was absolutely flawless for the entire Grand Prix. Got the bit between his teeth. We had Mad Max at the start, and you heard it as he crossed the line. You know, Red Bull cannot hold back a calmer moment over the radio. They can't just enjoy a win, can they? It's always got to be a dig, absolute dig in the shoulder. They're your mate that never lets anything go when it comes back around.
Lot of banter.
Yeah,
Lot of banter.
But Max Verstappen was one of the few, if not the only driver, that felt like he had an absolutely perfect run of it. Ideal weekend for him. You know, picks up that pole position. We'll get onto the penalty, whether we agree with it or not. Takes the lead back again immediately. Runs off into the distance with it. In a car that, yes, okay, this track suits, but I still don't think it's particularly dominant. And realistically, I think someone like Lando Norris, before the penalty, which we'll get onto as well, probably should have been doing more to stay competitive, because he also had a sublime start to get past George Russell. Bamboozled was old Georgie boy at the start. Absolutely. I'm sure he'd describe it as a good bamboozling as well.
Fair shout. Don't disagree with that whatsoever. Harry, we often comment on IndyCar races and how in the most chaotic of Grand Prix, you just kind of know that Scott Dixon's going to be winning at the end of the day. That feels like the equivalent of F1 and Max Verstappen.
Yeah, that's a very good point. This was very much a Scott Dixon win. And I mean that with the utmost compliments towards Max Verstappen. Yeah, as soon as I saw that it was a one-place penalty, which we'll get onto, I was like, there's no way he's not leading out of turn 1. Like, the world can end and he'll still be leading out of turn 1.
He's leading or he's out.
Earth has blown up in the background, but Max Verstappen is still off in space, leading its way forward.
I know we'll get onto penalties and that, but I'm just like, if you're going to give a penalty here for that man alone, it should at least be 2 places, not 1. Anyway, yeah, look, he was... when I saw the penalty last night, I thought he's going to be extra fired up today, and saucy. He was saucy, and you mentioned he crossed the line, Sam. That's probably the most pumped up or excited he sounded about a win for a long time.
The weaving, the screaming, I know that he went on a bender after he won the world title.
He's still on it, mate.
He's still going. That's part of it. Day 2 of the bender. Yeah, he enjoyed that one.
Yeah, which it was refreshing to see, but I think he had to work for that one because we saw in the sprint and sprint quali that Red Bull were nowhere, and I think he's made the difference with the pole position he got, or fastest time he got, and then the race performance today, because I'm still not entirely sure that Red Bull was the quickest car this weekend. So, yeah, very impressive from Max Verstappen. It's a telltale sign that, not that he seemed like he was under pressure for this championship, but all pressure has gone now, and he's stepping up another gear? Is that's what's happening? Because, oh boy, everyone else be worried, please.
It did feel like one of those races where everyone else was preoccupied with making the afternoon as difficult as possibly they can for themselves, and Max Verstappen is just there doing what Verstappen does, which is dominate in a car which wasn't necessarily capable of dominating. We saw that the gap between Verstappen and Norris was fairly constant when they were first and second, which was most of this Grand Prix, and you never felt like Verstappen and that Red Bull had that clear-cut advantage. But he had enough, and he managed it well enough, and it never really felt like it was in too much jeopardy. What he did on the first corner to get the lead in the first place was textbook Verstappen off the line. Russell was marginally quicker than he was, but in that second phase of the start, he did a really good job. And you just kind of know Verstappen on the inside of that corner into turn 1, he ain't going to be second coming out of it. He's either going to be first or 20th, like no in between. But yeah, the way in which he managed the Grand Prix from there, where everyone else was picking up penalties, very classic end of season, end of school vibes from most of the grid. Verstappen,
time.
You know, he took advantage. He was like, all right, I'll have a win then. No problem whatsoever. And I'm not surprised that he was as animated as he was at the end of this race, because unlike Brazil, where I think he knew based on the conditions with maybe 10 laps to go, I've got this in the bag very comfortably. Here in Qatar, based on how the weekend was going for him, that sprint race was awful. But the turnaround between the sprint race and main qualifying, and you know, credit goes to Sergio Perez weirdly on that as well, because what he did in the sprint really helped the Red Bull's turnaround on this weekend. But yeah, what he did was faultless on a day where you could fault pretty much everything else. And we will.
I love that we're crediting Sergio Perez for being so bad that he had the opportunity to make someone else better.
I was going to say, note that one down, folks. That's the only bit of credit I think Sergio Perez may get on this review.
Yeah, enjoy that, Perez fans.
Lando Norris got a 10-second stop-go penalty.
Been a while since those words have been on this show.
Boom, we're going to drop one of those. Yes.
Have they got a magic wheel up there? Have they just spun it and it's landing on 10-second stop go? Is that where they pulled that from? Out of their arseholes? Because where's that come from? Honestly.
I forgot it existed as a penalty. Apparently it still does. 10-second stop and go. I just thought in the first instance, I thought that's a weird way of phrasing a 10-second penalty. It's like, nope, he is going to have to actually do this stop and go penalty within 3 laps of being served that penalty. He failed to slow under yellow flags. We got a replay of that. He gets the penalty not that far from the end, which drops him initially all the way to the back of the field. He does eventually recover to finish 10th and with the fastest lap point as well. The penalty, Sam, as we mentioned, it's been a while since we've seen one of these. Was it fair?
Yeah, this is where I'm a little bit... I am bamboozled. George Russell can come in here and describe me as bamboozled because factually accurate. This 10-second stop-go penalty is actually not what I have the problem with. What I have the problem with is once again, the shifting of goalposts when declaring that someone has broken the rules. And I think this happened 3 times throughout this Grand Prix. We had 3 safety infringements occur and each penalty was completely different. Lewis Hamilton speeds under the pit lane. That's a safety infringement. And that means he gets a drive-through, not a stop-go, a drive-through. George Russell has a safety car infringement where he was speeding under safety car. That's just a 5-second. Lando Norris doesn't lift through double wave yellows. That's a 10-second stop-go penalty. The inconsistent and apparently incoherent understanding of the stewards to be able to apply any rules that make any actual sense to armchair viewers who are able to pick out the understanding of these rules just by watching a screen with none of the information in front of them that these stewards have is mind-boggling. The way that Lando Norris has been smacked down with this penalty, it's so harsh. It's so harsh. I agree he broke the rules and he should be penalised for such a thing. You should not be flying through a double wave yellow for, at full speed when it's a safety issue. We'll get on to the fact that maybe a safety car or VSC should have been thrown for decades before that even happened, and someone just picked up that wing anyway, the wing mirror that was there anyway. It's just the application of these penalties is, again, bizarre, random, inconsistent, no understanding. We've got this new race director in. There's 4 stewards that have apparently agreed that this is correct, and they've gone ahead with it. And it is just, again, making a mockery of the sport because no one can follow along. No one knows what to expect. You even heard it in Lando Norris's voice. He was like, what for? Like, what? What have I done that is so ridiculous that I've been given a stop-go, 10-second stop-go? I think it is the second most severe penalty you can actually be given in Formula 1 history that isn't a 30-second stop-go penalty, which we've not seen for decades. So, essentially this or a disqualification. It's a joke. It is a joke. Make up your mind what the rules are. Stick to them for at least a season because it is baffling for anyone to watch along with.
What do you think, Harry?
Right. I'll start with some positivity because I feel like we need to sprinkle a bit of that. I don't necessarily disagree with bringing back these sorts of penalties, okay?
Yes, sir.
I've missed them. Quite frankly, the 10-second stop-go, it was like an art form, and I've missed it.
Like a horrible, horrible art form.
But in all seriousness...
the Cristiano Ronaldo statue.
Yes.
Or you see Harry Kane's one, just as bad.
There you go. It's the Harry Kane statue of penalties. No, I'm not mad at that, and I think it will discourage... If this is the thing going forward, it will discourage drivers from being naughty boys. Because if a penalty is that severe for things like that, then there's no way they won't think twice about doing it. However, my main issue with this is we are 2 races from the end of an F1 season, and we're deciding now that this is where we move this goalpost. We're not midway through. We're 2 races from the end, so we're going to start doing these sorts of penalties, severe penalties now when we've done a whole year, we've done years of nothing quite that severe. And also, look, it's, the yellow flags, it's a safety issue. So if you're going to be a blanket rule on speeding through a yellow flag zone or overtaking through a yellow flag zone, I'm okay with that. But there's an argument to suggest, what would you give someone who was overtaking under yellow flags? Do you give them the same penalty? Because that seems more severe than someone just going fast. And I think this is where they're going to trip themselves up. But once again, the FIA, stewards, race direction, just tripping yourself up by making things more complicated than you need to. And like I say, I'm not against the rule because I think it's harsher punishments will discourage drivers from doing these sorts of things again. But why would now? You could wait 2 more races and start doing this. A 10-second penalty would have been way more in line with, and then still inconsistent, I guess, but way more in line with what we've seen for the rest of the season / the past few years of F1. But a 10-second stop-go, they had to blow the dust off the rule book to find that one. It's been so long since we've whipped that one out. So, yeah, just the inconsistency, moving the goalposts at this point of the season, I really disagree with. The penalty itself, no, absolutely fine. I am a bit worried about how it came about because we saw a replay on the TV many, many, many laps before it was actually called into question. And then it didn't go up under investigation, I don't think, or was it noted? I can't remember. But that whole process seems a bit odd because it did seem like Red Bull were lobbying we couldn't hear it, but it sounded like they were lobbying the FIA, or the stewards, sorry, on that issue. So again, there's question marks over that, but excellent work. That's just the start of this, but goodness me.
On that point that you just made, I'm sorry, Ben, to jump in before you make your full point. Something that concerns me, which you've just raised about how Red Bull were the ones lobbying the stewards, because Max Verstappen was the one that called out the fact that the gap had changed between himself and Norris. There are clips throughout that start-finish straight where there's double yellows of cars with DRS open, cars passing other cars, whether it be lapped or otherwise. The only car investigated was Norris after Verstappen called it out. Are there multiple other cars at one point or another either haven't lifted or have been there with DRS and because they've just never checked and been caught out and gone, someone make a complaint about it. We've not been paying attention to that because we're too bothered about a wing mirror in the middle of the road that we could have cleared up. It just makes me think, if they can't apply the rules consistently, are they monitoring the people breaking the rules consistently? Were they even aware that that was a problem until basically Max Verstappen went, he's speeding, by the way? Makes you think.
I've had a good think about this. And I've concluded I hate every single aspect of it.
Good.
Firstly, Lando Norris, you've been in F1 since 2019. Slow down when there are double yellows, man. What are you doing? Like, he was in such a good opportunity to win this race, which I appreciate the championship might be over, but it's still nice to win races, and you basically just ruined it for yourself. So I hate that. I then hate the fact that it took them so long to do it. If it had happened pretty much straight away, as I think it could have done, this penalty handed out, I'm pretty sure he could have taken that stop-go penalty and still come out around 7th or 8th place. And then obviously we know what would have happened with the safety car, in which case this race is completely different for Lando Norris from that point onwards. I hate the fact that it's inconsistent. I hate the fact that we've decided... I also just hate double yellows generally and like how drivers treat them. So, for example, Lando Norris here is deemed to be dangerous as a result of not lifting. Are we saying that all the other drivers are safe when they lift for like half a second? Because all the other drivers, whenever they see a double yellow, will immediately go, I need to slow down just enough to not get a penalty here. Is it that much more dangerous than actually going flat out? I'm not saying that he shouldn't get a penalty as a result of that. I'm just saying that we probably need to look at double yellows a bit more generally to, if the whole point is to be as safe as possible when those are out, I don't think any driver's really safe, and every driver is instead focusing on losing as little time as possible, which makes sense. But I don't understand where this has come from. And like you, Harry, I don't necessarily mind them applying bigger penalties. I think it's about time. We've seen years of just 5-second blanket penalty for absolutely everything, which I've never really agreed with. I'm up for drivers being properly penalised when they do something wrong. I just don't really see this being what was essentially a 30-second penalty when you consider the fact that you have to go through the pits as well as take the 10-second stop go. It doesn't quite line up for me, but, you know, British bias.
Nice.
Alive and well.
You made the point about Norris, by the way. This is the story of McLaren and his season. Fast but silly.
Yeah.
Fast but so silly. What are you doing?
All he has to do is lift off
a tiny bit.
And even if he doesn't win that race and finishes in second place, they basically put the championship to bed. You see Zach Brown stressing. The man was stressing.
He needs to lie down, doesn't he?
Poor boy rubbing his head, going, what have I got to do just to get this over the bloody line? Yeah. Very, very strange.
I tell you what, we are going to struggle to get everything in today. Let's go on to driver of the day, shall we?
The verdict is in. You're the driver of the day. You're the driver of the day. You're good at driving.
Harry, your driver of the day.
I'm giving it to Michael Schumacher.
Do you want to know something?
Yeah.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Oh no, pull my heavens out.
Very good.
Yeah, Zhou Guanyu. That is still a tractor. I don't care if it started working a bit better. It's a better working tractor, but generally that car's a tractor. And he was excellent today. I mean, Bottas was good as well, but he was better than Bottas and was sort of on his own towards the end of there. And I just thought he was very, very impressive, which is unusual for the story of his season. A few other contenders, Gasly, again, in another tractor. The reason I haven't given it to him is because he decided not to brake for turn 1 at that safety car restart.
I actually think that was more impressive, the way he threaded the needle.
Yeah, sure. Threaded the needle off the track.
Country?
Screaming his absolute head off.
And obviously Verstappen as well is a strong contender, but he probably will never get it again. So Zhou Guanyu.
Sam?
Yeah, I was going to go for Fernando Alonso, actually, was who I was going for.
Well, that's better.
Who, ironically, he finished one place behind. Yeah, unreal from Zhou. 5 seconds clear of Magnussen, driving an absolute tractor. And I think the thing that makes it even more impressive is that he had front row seats to Lance Stroll binning off Alex Albon at the start of the race. And he's going, excuse me, coming through. Beep, beep.
He spent most of the afternoon just avoiding wreckage.
Literally, excuse me, sorry, don't mind me.
That was the right strategy in this race.
Yeah.
Don't crash. It's the right strategy in every race. Yeah. I also love that he's like, that bloody Aston Martin, man. Like, what is it doing? Also, he's in the last 4 Grand Prix, he scored double the points that Sergio Perez has scored. So, you know, it's really, really good for Zhou Guanyu.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. 2 for Perez, 4 for Zhou.
Yeah, my summary of this race is basically Verstappen was really good, so was Gasly, so was Alonso, so was Zhou, and everyone else was rubbish. I think those are the 4 contenders for driver of the day. I am going to give it to Zhou Guanyu as well, because 8th place in that Sauber. I can't remember if I said it on yesterday or Friday's review, how funny and also not funny it would be if Zhou Guanyu scores points and Valtteri Bottas doesn't. And of course, that's the one thing I've actually got right this year. So well done, Zhou Guanyu. That was an excellent performance. What about picking one driver for this? Worst driver of the day.
Bin. Worst driver of the day. Bin. Worst driver of the day. Bin. You suck at driving.
Can we just say the 19 others and go away? Just
sure. There's enough to talk about.
Segment done. Move on.
That's a good idea, but we need to name and shame on this podcast. So,
yeah.
Sam, who was worst driver of the day?
I'm not going to give other contenders because we'll be it for too long. I'm just going to go straight in with Nico Hülkenberg. Starts 18th, wipes 2 cars out on the first corner, doesn't really get it together, crashes entirely on his own halfway through the Grand Prix. Absolute state of a race for Nico Hülkenberg. Magnussen scores points. You're in the boonies off on your own, son. This is, I'll allow it because he's been so good for the rest of the season, but what a stinker. Someone change that man's nappy because it smells bad. Honestly, make a right state of that one. Shocker from Hülkenberg.
Not sure what's the bigger shocker, the fact that it's bad smelling or he has one to begin with. Look, there was a real fight to the bottom in this thing, and fair play to Liam Lawson and to Lewis Hamilton because they really gave it a good go.
They tried.
They have just about been outclassed by Nico Hülkenberg today. I agree with you, Sam, but you're very unlucky or lucky to miss out, depending on how you're viewing it. I'm not convinced they were trying. I think they were trying to get worst driver of the day.
Hamilton was trying so hard he decided to end early and then carried on.
We talking about that after the break?
Hang on. I want to retire. No. Okay, retire. No.
No.
What is that conversation?
Petulant child.
Bono's like, for God's sake, just go. Go to Ferrari now.
I won't do it.
Drive into Antonelli's house. Like, get in the car.
For a set of keys at him.
Right, Harry, what have you got?
Yeah, I mean, contenders on my list: Lance Stroll, Sergio Perez. I'd even chuck Lando Norris on there, Liam Lawson, Lewis Hamilton. But I am going to go for Nico Hülkenberg, mainly for all the reasons you've already mentioned, Sam. He spun twice on his own, effectively. That's not a good day. Bad day.
No. Bad day.
Bad day. And everyone else had terrible days, but that's a bad day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. God.
A badder day.
A badder day.
Yeah, let's call that there. Well, let's just end the podcast there, actually. No, that's just the first part, ladies and gents. We are well on track for this 2-hour review, so we're going to see you after this short break.
Just want me dinner.
I'm so hungry.
Welcome back, everyone. One of the biggest talking points, because it's difficult to narrow it down, was the fact that there was a non-VSC, a non-safety car, when Alex Albon's car continued to break down somehow more than it was already broken. His wing mirror flying off into the middle of the start-finish straight. A few laps go by, no attempt to move it, no attempt to move it. Valtteri Bottas goes, I'm not doing much, I'll move it. Shatters into a million pieces. At which point, Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton both get punctures. FIA then decide, you know what, let's throw a safety car.
Banter.
Sam, what are your views on this?
It becomes laughable. We're all laughing. It's oh god. I love that Williams is just pieced together by so much hot garbage and sellotape that it's just falling apart going down the road. At this point, Williams engineers are like, get me together this year. I swear
They're
to
just
God.
pointing at each other. Which one started that on? It wasn't me. I don't know.
We only
We
had
run out of Brit sticks, boys.
It's not even a real wing mirror. It's a bit of cardboard with some paint on it, but they just make it look like a wing mirror.
There's no
so
glass
that's
in
fallen
it.
off. I love that. I'll get onto the trepidations of the safety car. I love that Bottas has just gone, nah, screw it. You ain't moving it. I'll move it myself. And his race isn't destroyed. Go. He's fine. He just carries on like, yeah, woohoo, see you later. Hamilton and Sykes, the same moment, both get penalties. Punctures, sorry. Now, we've seen this before, and this happened, I think, with every safety car that we saw in this Grand Prix. What's the delay for? What are you all watching? Have you got something else on the other telly that you're like, oh, crap, there's a yellow flag being thrown by a steward somewhere. We should probably get the safety car out or at least the VSC out. What's the delay? What are you hoping is going to happen? That the wing mirror is just going to get up and walk off itself? It will grow legs, maybe? I don't know what the solution is, but you are in control of it, so you need to do something. It's a hazard, as we saw. It's ruined 2 races Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton's race was not great before that. It, very quickly came undone. But the man was on for pretty solid points. He was going to pick up an 8th place or whatever at that point. And Carlos Sainz was well in for a top 4 or 5. Amazingly, he still ended up getting a top 4 or 5. I don't really know how that occurred, but he did.
No, I've no idea. How's he managed that?
He suddenly was there again. I don't understand. So fair play to you, Carlos, the magic man Sainz, for reappearing in the top 5. It's just the safety again. It's incompetence. It's the delay. It's not being safety first. I don't know what you're waiting for. Do you want to stop the entertainment? There wasn't any at that point. We were bored. It was a dull Grand Prix. Do you want to make sure it's fair? We saw this with the red flag being thrown with Max Verstappen in Brazil, right? Why is there a delay to this? Oh, it might hinder or complement some people's races. It doesn't matter. Safety is paramount. Safety is first. That's part of the game. You might benefit from someone else's downfall, or you might lose out because of someone else. Throw the damn safety car, clear up the mess, get on with the bloody Grand Prix. It's once again all about the race stewarding and the penalties and the safety cars being applied. And it's not about the racing. It's becoming embarrassing. It's a farce. Why did they not throw that safety car, or at least the VSC, out within half a lap? It should be less, but within half a lap. The fact it went on for 5 or 6 laps before Bottas then ran it over, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
Harry.
Yeah, it's a yoke, as a Spaniard man once said. That's Fernando Alonso, by the way, just not a random Spanish man.
Sorry, that's really
One made Pedro, yeah.
We've said this before. If we are sat at home watching this on the TV, as we all were, and we can see, that looks like a safety car actually, or at least a VSC. If we, the 3 of us, 3 idiots, can see that needs a safety car to get that cleaned up.
Looks like a hazard to me.
And the stewards don't make that call with all the extra information they had. And again, I'll reference, you guys went to race control in Austin. All these circuits have a crap ton of screens that give them way more information. They can see it all. They see everything on circuit. Why are they delaying making this call? I do not understand. And it will seem trivial given the size of the piece. But then we saw what happens. It gets run over. Valtteri Bottas is lucky to get away with it. No damage by the looks of it. We don't know whether he did. It might have caused some damage. And obviously then we have 2 punctures from it. Besides the fact they ruined Sainz and Hamilton's race, I know Sainz did recover relatively well. And Hamilton was having a bad day anyway. But aside from the fact that it ruined their races, we were lucky that both their punctures were slowed, like delaminations, like they went down slowly. You're playing with fire here, because that could have been an immediate your tyre explodes puncture, and then we're looking at a whole different situation where a car is being pitched into a wall because it has a puncture. Now these things happen in F1. Debris gets on track, but when you can see the freaking piece of debris, you can eliminate that as a risk, not make it a bigger risk by waiting for someone to run it over and then go, that's quite bad, isn't it? Yeah, we better do something now. It's baffling to me that this is where stewarding has got to, race direction has got to, and I know we are with a new race director, so he's only a couple of races in. It's not great. Yeah. It's not great reading so far for him, and it's no better than where we were. It is absolutely no better.
Ben you only get fired if you say something he doesn't like, not if you do a bad job.
Yeah, I can't even talk about him because he's got so many. Focus on your own freaking house that's on fire, mate, and stop going after F1 drivers for using bad words.
I have an announcement.
Go on, Warren.
I have a breaking news here on the Late Breaking F1 podcast. I'm coming for your job. I'm doing it. I'm coming for your job. It's up for renewal very soon. Ben Hocking versus Ben Sulliam. It's happening.
He's going to rebrand himself as Mr. Ben Silly Man. To be honest, you'll do a better job anyway.
It's like the Count Binface of F1 politics.
There, you get like a giant F1 logo.
Today I'd had enough. I'm going for your job.
Fair enough.
Let's do it as a trio. We're race steward, race director, head of the FIA. We're doing this.
Look, the whole thing is laughable. It's and baffling to me. But I'm worried we're gonna get to a point where something bad's gonna happen because of this. Because we are, and I don't want to sound like we're over exaggerating, or I'm over exaggerating, or being hyperbolic, but we're playing with fire with these sorts of slow calls in F1. Like letting drivers finish. I know that was a different race director. There was only 2 races ago, but letting drivers finish a flying lap in the rain when there's a car literally in the barrier. Sure, that's not a recipe for a disaster. Or letting Lance Stroll on a JCB digger sit on the edge of the gravel trap whilst cars are going around. Sure, that's not a recipe for disaster.
That's just his car, mate. Don't get after him for that.
Oh, sorry.
Ironically, they were a sponsor, weren't they? By JCB?
I worry that something drastic needs to change because I worry we're going to end up with something serious happening. And I don't want that to happen, obviously.
You know when you just don't really know where to start with something?
Yeah.
This. Literally this.
Just go with just let it all out.
Okay. Rui Marquez, let's start with you. I'm not sure if you're out of your probation period, but I would probably look at other jobs because this ain't it, pal. You're not very good at this.
One week notice period.
I appreciate he had like all the series to look after this weekend because they literally have no one else employed. It's like the FIA are challenging Alpine to see who can finish the season with fewer employees. On that, Esteban Ocon, bye-bye, mate. That's enough for you, apparently.
Yeah, you're not getting a drive next week.
Bye.
You know what? At this point, it's actually a prize not to drive that Alpine, so I don't know. Rui Marquez, on a day where Ben Sulliam has said one of the most stupid things of all time, has managed to outdo Ben Sulliam for stupidness. Like, how have you done that? That's so impressive. There were yellow flags blown as a result of this incident. Tick. Good job. Like that.
It's a good start.
So here's the thing. You can upgrade it from there if you think it's worth it. But the only way you can downgrade it is if something happens. It was still there. Nothing changed. If you think it was dangerous enough to throw a yellow flag to begin with, surely that has to be followed up by something because, again, nothing changed. It was still there. And look, the Qatar circuit that we've already trashed about 1 minute into this episode, there aren't a lot of overtaking opportunities. And as a result of that, if you've got debris off a racing line, you might be safe. Apart from this was the one corner where you could go offline to make an overtake. It was very clearly in a dangerous position. Valtteri Bottas decided to confirm that when he, reads notes, went over it.
Man was being lapped as well. He wasn't even trying to overtake any.
Yeah, he's literally trying to do the safe thing and get out of the way.
It was so obvious. Weirdly, I would be less annoyed if they didn't throw a yellow flag. Because at that point, you've completely missed that it's dangerous. Here, They have established there is danger with this and done nothing about it.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's just like, there's some danger here, but that's up to you to watch out.
Look,
now.
everyone, the house is on fire. Now, we're not going to call the fire brigade. We're
pointing
just
at
going to
it.
everyone around. The house is on fire, okay? It will burn down because we aren't going to do anything about this. But the house is on fire. That's what's happened here.
We're recording directly after the Grand Prix, so we don't know what some of the media quotes are yet, but I really hope one of the drivers has been asked about this and says something along the lines of, don't know, that's not our business, apparently.
Burn. Bloody moron.
I can't believe that's also been confirmed halfway through the podcast that Ocon is actually going to be replaced by Doohan as well. Like, out of all the things that
What, confirmed by Alpine?
No, it's confirmed by Sky Sports F1. It is now on their official account. He is out.
I've seen, and my source here is my dad, who's still watching the Sky Sports coverage. It's apparently the best source. Apparently, it means Ocon can test the Haas in Abu Dhabi, which is like, so?
Sainz is testing the Williams in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
That
I love
doesn't
it.
add up,
Collectively, the three of us are like, what's your point? What does it mean?
It's all right. I mean, it's not like they're fighting for any championship positions or anything. And
Against that very freaking team.
It's not like the other driver is driving his absolute heart out to try and keep them in sixth place.
Alpine have looked at the FIA and gone, you are taking too much spotlight in terms of stupidity. We are going to try and outdo you. We're not going to get onto that today. Don't worry, though. It will definitely be a midweek topic. Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, Christ.
He didn't have a good day, did he? He, at one point, was asking how much slower he was versus the front runners, to which his response was, is the car broken?
Spoiler, that's on one of my moment of the race list.
It's on my list as well. And then later, as already detailed by Harry, and you might think Harry was being a bit simplistic about the way it went down. No, it literally went down exactly as he said. He wanted to retire the car. He was then told he could retire the car, so he didn't retire the car.
Overtakes 3 other cars.
Ends up finishing in 12th. Sam, that was maybe not one to remember.
I'm struggling with this Lewis Hamilton. As someone who grew up idolizing Lewis and being a fan of Lewis and seeing him go on to achieve so much and building this legacy, this is a really difficult watch. And he is, as we've said before, a really emotional person, wears his heart on his sleeve, takes things very to heart. And I think his morale is not just on the floor. I think it's in the grave. I think he's dug it 6 feet down. I think he is really struggling. And because of this 24 race wait list he's put himself on to get to the promised land of Ferrari, I think he's hoping that it's going to be something much better. And I don't know if it's going to be much better. I don't know if it is the car. Look what Russell's doing, right? Look what Russell is doing. If he gets into that Ferrari and he hates it, he is in for a world of pain. This is being an odd reaction to someone who came off of a second place, so after overtaking 8 other cars to get there and being the fastest man on the racetrack and being sublime, absolutely sublime. And then in Qatar, not only are you annoyed that you're 1.2 seconds slower than everyone else and you think that the car might be broken when actually, oh man, you're just slow. You then, I don't know, have a hissy fit that you can't retire the car, and then when they tell you can't retire. I don't know what's going on with him, but his morale through the floor. He's got no pace. I don't think he cares. I don't think he wants to be here. The only reason he's coming back for Abu Dhabi is because it's his last race with Mercedes. If it wasn't, if he was retiring, there's a part of me that thinks he'd just go, nah, sod it, don't care, move it. I genuinely think it just might be bad for sponsorship and kind of his appeal if he can't be bothered to turn up for a Grand Prix. It stinks of sore loser if he just doesn't turn up. And I don't think he wants to be viewed as that. So, awful Grand Prix, stuck behind Sergio Perez of all people for the majority of the Grand Prix. Speeds in the pit lane, has to do a drive-through, and then has a moan that his car doesn't work because after he's got a puncture and then wants to go home. And I get it.
He jumped the start as well, remember?
He jumped the start as well. Yeah, God. Obviously, the list is so long, I'm forgetting things. Yeah, this is a shocker. Another one to add to the list for Lewis Hamilton. This might be his worst season ever in Formula One at this point.
And he's had 2 wins.
He's had 2 wins. That's Lewis Hamilton, baby.
Yeah.
What did you make of Lewis Hamilton's race, Harry?
He's had better.
Good shout.
Just a couple.
Just a couple, better. my look, Hamilton in Vegas in the race was sublime, as you already mentioned, Sam. One of my concerns for him next year is qualifying, because look, George Russell is no slouch. He's an excellent qualifier, and actually, I think underrated this year has been George Russell in qualifying. But at the moment, he's taken Hamilton to the cleaners on a Saturday afternoon. I know he missed the Saturday, but quite literally, he is. And I worry for Hamilton next year because, just going to check my notes, his teammate is Charles Leclerc, who's also very good on a Saturday. And this is ironic because it's Lewis Hamilton who's got the most pole positions of all time, but currently his Saturday pace is terrible. His race pace has been generally better, apart from today, when it was terrible.
Not good.
And I don't know why this weekend, he said it last weekend a bit after his qualifying because he sort of ballsed up his Q3 efforts, but the speed in the car was there, so it was slightly different. Although the speed in the car was here this weekend, I guess, because Russell was on the front row. So, but his comments this weekend after qualifying, he's just like, I've only got to do 2 more. Like, doesn't want to be there. And then his attitude during and I know he's ready for a change. But I think this is a David Coulthard quote, but he said, you don't lose the speed, you lose the need. And I do worry that Lewis Hamilton is just losing the need to do this anymore. I'm not saying he won't be back with Ferrari next year. There's no doubt. He signed a big old contract, but he's at such a low ebb. And I know, as you said, Sam, he wears his heart on his sleeve. His emotions are always clear, but this is such a low ebb for Hamilton to end a season on, that to pick himself back up during the winter, get into a new team, etc. And maybe that will be exactly what he needs, but it's just not a good place to not a good launch pad to start this from, going into 2025. And yeah, if you're Fred Vasseur, I'm not saying you're worried, but you're looking at Hamilton today and go, oh, my driver also got a puncture and made it back into the top 6.
Psych, Carlos.
Would you like to stay?
Carlos, you can come back now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult with Hamilton because he does as you say, he's an emotional character, but his morale right now is horrendous, and it's a little bit worrying, I think, for where his form will be come the beginning of 25. If the Ferrari's really good at the beginning of next year, there's no doubt I think Hamilton will be there, but it's just not. He's not in a good place right now.
What was that line he came out with? Damn, I guess I'm just slow now.
Well, yeah, like talking about his but that's where he's got like the self-belief. Fernando Alonso would never go, damn, I'm slow now, if he'd had a bad few Saturdays.
He could be 95
I know.
in a retirement at home and he wouldn't say that.
You heard it today on the radio. This car 2 years in a straight line now. He's still trying to pass people into turn 1.
But like that's Alonso. I don't think that car was actually that bad in a straight line. I think he fell off. He didn't get his tyres warmed up at the restart. He fell off the road a couple of times and lost places. But that's Alonso to exactly.
It's him.
No, not my fault. So yeah, that's the worrying thing where when you're just coming out going, I'm just slow on a Saturday now. Well, great. Fred was delighted to hear that next year. I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add about the race itself because it was just pretty much all bad. The pace was not very good. Jumping the start, getting a penalty, having the drive-through, nothing went well. So I won't linger on that too much more. I do want to say about his attitude. The fact that he didn't end up retiring the car is obviously a good thing, but the fact that he nearly did and was openly talking about just retiring the car for no reason other than I can't really be bothered with how bad this car is right now, at least in comparison to what he's used to. Because remember, there are drivers on that grid that would very much like that Mercedes. Probably over half the grid would choose to have that Mercedes over the car that they have right now. And I don't massively appreciate his words and his attitude towards the end of that Grand Prix, because an F1 team is so much more than just the driver. And I think you need to remember that as a driver when you consider, for example, Williams. They have had to repair so many cars this year to the point where they're just using whatever they can find in the dustbin to put a car together. I'm pretty convinced that no one who's having to do that week after week is turning around and going, I'm just going to give up here. Nah, I can't be bothered now. That they will be doing everything they can to service their drivers, and the drivers have an obligation to do the same for their team. And even, look, he didn't end up doing it, but even talking about it, it doesn't sit particularly well with me. I hope that he comes back in Abu Dhabi and delivers a great final race for Mercedes, because based on his career at Mercedes, he deserves it. The fans of Mercedes deserve it, to really give him this one final swan song, a real celebration of Lewis Hamilton to occur at this last race with the team. But if his heart's not in it, and if he says, I don't want to do this race, I don't think they should fight him on it. I think they should get Antonelli in the car if he wants it.
No, they can't do that because they've definitely got a special livery planned.
It'd be even funny with Antonelli driving around with his
Lewis
names
at the side of the car and Kimi's driving it.
But if Lewis Hamilton turns around and says, you know what, I don't think I want to do it. If I'm Mercedes, I don't fight him.
No, yeah, I see that point. But think of the marketing, Ben. Think of the marketing.
Ideal situation, he does race, obviously. I'm just saying if Lewis Hamilton doesn't come around to the idea...
He's gone into hiding for the next week. I'm not coming out.
He's fled the country.
Let's take our second break at this point. On the other side, we're going all the way back to the first lap.
Oh,
we're
God.
only on the second break.
Welcome back, everyone. I appreciate this is a race review, but we do need to touch on one thing very quickly from qualifying. Myself and Sam did put together a qualifying review yesterday, but one bit of the news that wasn't announced at that time was the fact that Max Verstappen would get, and I think I'm reading this right, a one-place grid penalty for blocking George Russell on... Oh, wait, no, it wasn't his fast lap. It was his out lap. It's not a penalty we've ever seen before, Sam.
It's because it's not breaking the rules.
I'm assuming that is where you are on this.
You know, when you rack your brain so much, you think, I can't rack it anymore. I've got a migraine, got a headache now. My little brain's bouncing around against the four walls of my skull, and it can't be rattled anymore. This stupid decision that has once again been made. Yeah, don't want to point this out to you, lads, but you can't penalise something that isn't against the rules. They're just two cars going around the racetrack. That's it. Have you heard the onboard radio of Russell for the lap?
Yes.
Right. So it quite clearly goes, okay, George, in front of you, you've got Max and Fernando. Alonso and Max in front of you. Alonso has passed Max. Alonso is now gap Max. Max still in front of you. You'll come out to Verstappen. Whoa! Dangerous there from Verstappen. He's there the whole time. You're both on out laps. You're both warming the car up. You're both doing the same thing. And you knew he was there the whole time. It's like crossing the road. There's a car coming. Crossing the road. There's a car still coming, by the way. Just see where there's a car coming. Still crossing the road, though. There's a car. I've been hit by a car. I can't believe I've been hit by... Someone told you 4 times you're going to get hit by a car, and you got hit by a car, and it's the car's fault that you got hit? Really? This is another joke. Just tick it off. Go and do a stand-up show at this point, because you've got so many jokes in your locker, stewards. This is another banger from you. Sensational work, honestly. And the justification. I thought, it's going to be because Max Verstappen was underneath his lap time delta. He was going too slow on his lap, so therefore he actually infringed Russell, who was trying to stay within his delta. To me, that's logical. No mention of that, because it's nothing to do with it. No logic behind it at all. We had to find something that wasn't severe as a 3 place, but also wasn't as bad as what Perez or Tsunoda did, so we've gone with a 1 place. Have an absolute day off. Have a year off. Actually, just take it off. Don't do it anymore. You're crap at this. A joke.
Do you think, Harry, that actually, based on the added motivation for Max Verstappen, this wasn't actually a penalty and it was, in fact, a reward?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I reposted this on the website formerly known as Twitter. The steward said, in mitigation of penalty, it was obvious that the driver of car 63 had clear visibility of car 1 and that neither car was on a push lap. So you give a penalty. Make that...
Guess the outcome based on that statement.
Make that make any sense. I read that and I reread it And then I just laughed out loud, and I was like, "This, what are you saying? What are you doing?" I cannot. The actual one-place penalty is not the first time we've seen it. I've seen this reference. I think race fans pointed this out. There was one. Nico Hülkenberg got one in 2016. It's happened before. Okay, I actually don't have a massive issue with that as a penalty in general. But what are we penalising? I don't understand. Why are they doing this? It makes me so mad. Especially, it's not even like they're trying to cover up being morons. They're just being outright morons and are like, yeah, there was actually no issue here, so one-place penalty.
It's genuinely impressive that this might be like the 17th most stupid thing the FIA did this weekend.
I know. This happened before all of today as well. This could have been a big talking point on this podcast, but then they did the race.
Yeah.
Just a footnote of a weekend of filth.
Yeah. That is what got me, because you can't give a penalty with that reasoning, because that's not reasoning. There's a reason to not give a penalty.
No one broke the rules.
It should, maybe what you'd say, he was driving slightly, it was a bit too slow. Russell came up a bit quicker. At most, I'd say that's a slap on the wrist for Verstappen. Don't do that again. That's a bit naughty, but a bit cheeky. But apart from that, no penalty.
I mean, he was also trying to get the gap to Alonso to start his lap.
You're all trying to gap each other because it's the start of qualify. What are you doing?
It's quite normal behaviour.
I was so confused to the point where I was like researching and investigating, because I thought I'd just got this completely wrong. Like, I thought like the onboard that everyone was seeing, that was shown on the broadcast, that was doing the rounds after, I thought I was looking at the wrong thing because it's so obviously not a penalty. I am bewildered by this. If it was the last corner before the flying lap, all right, I can buy it. But it wasn't. They were still multiple corners before they got to the point where how many cars were speeding up to go and then not stopping where George Russell started to go? That didn't happen. No one was starting their flying lap 2/3 of the way through the previous lap. Everyone was waiting until the last corner because, I don't know, if you've seen F1, that's what always happens. I was baffled. I'm still baffled by this. I tweeted out that I was confused by this yesterday and I slept on it, and I think it's even more ridiculous one day after thinking about it. He did nothing wrong. No penalty necessary. Anyway, it didn't end up mattering because he ended up taking the lead anyway. And Lando Norris also got through into P2 at the start. It was quite an eventful first lap. We had multiple collisions, one of which resulted in a penalty, one of which did not. Let's start with the one that didn't. Esteban Ocon and Franco Colapinto's races did not last very long whatsoever. Esteban Ocon has actually got the biggest penalty of anyone from this Grand Prix, despite only doing one corner.
Sacked.
He's sacked.
Alpine don't know what to do, so they're just like, he's out of turn one, sack him.
He's out of the car. Keep him out of the car.
Yeah, but we've already sacked him, actually, Ollie. Yeah, no, sack him again.
Ollie Oakes loves the soap. It's all the drama.
And Nico Hülkenberg was involved in that collision as well. Ultimately, no penalty handed out. Sam, did you agree with that?
I love that Nico Hülkenberg is the only man to have driven off from this collision. It is, it's priceless. See you later, only to crash out on his own later on.
What an assassin he is.
2 for the price of 1. Oh, and myself later on. How is this not a penalty? Man understeers off into 2 cars, destroys them immediately on turn 1. Williams having a wonderful time. Another car to fix. Check. Cheers. It will just be the Red Bull soapbox races. It will just be a Williams coloured box, I imagine, that they're going to run for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix because they've got no bits left. They've got no parts left. Should have been a penalty. I think it should have been a 10-second penalty. You've wiped 2 cars out. Clumsy. I don't care for this no penalties given on the first lap rule set that seems to go around. The first lap
first corner, apparently.
Whatever. The first lap, first corner is exactly the same as and important as any other lap for any other corner. If you tell me that lap 37, corner 4 has no difference to lap 1, corner 1, what are we doing? Doesn't make any sense. So to me, slam dunk penalty, Hülkenberg in the wrong, ruins 2 people's races. He's the only person to blame.
penalty for that one, Harry, or were the stewards actually right about something?
No, they're never right. They're morons.
Good.
Car A has makes a mistake, goes too fast into turn 1, starts to understeer and slide wide. Car B is hit by car A, and car B also hits car C. Which of them gets a penalty? None of them.
Ocon.
Yeah, 5 second for Ocon track limits. How is that not a penalty? Hulkenberg's been excellent this year, but today was not a good day for him. That's a slam dunk penalty when you make a mistake and you take out 2 drivers. Oh no, there's no penalty. Maybe they looked at it when he's had a puncture, but it didn't matter because it was a safety car. He was back where he started on literally the same tyre again. Yeah, morons.
You know what? My anger is on me at this point because as soon as I saw this incident and then the result that came from it, I should have known what the rest of this race was going to be. I should have just known. This was a penalty that wasn't a penalty. Nico Hulkenberg, well done. I don't know how you managed to survive with that, and it's a good job you took advantage. Oh, never mind. Next one, a little bit later on in the lap, Stroll and Albon, with Zhou having a great view of both of them. Stroll's the one that gets the penalty, which Aston Martin cleverly decide to serve before retiring the car. Was that a right call, Sam?
This one I genuinely think is closer. Stroll is not having a good time, but I do think this is far closer to a yes or no than the Hulkenberg one, which for me was a total slam dunk. And the Sky commentary team discussed this. They said that there was space around the outside for Albon. He could have continued to move across, and he's entitled to the room he's already in. If we're following the current rule set, Stroll is on the inside of the corner, right, as it stands. That's the rules, apparently. That's
Stroll
how it
at
works.
the apex, yeah.
Stroll had that's how it works, apparently, in Formula One. So technically, I don't actually think he did anything wrong. But yes, I think Stroll was at fault for this. He understeered into Albon, caused the collision, and got a penalty for it, rightly so. But I actually think if they followed their own rule set, having been applied consistently, he shouldn't have got a penalty for that.
Applying rules consistently.
It's a baffling concept, I know.
How'd you do that?
I know. If the sport wasn't run by actual idiots, I'm sure this might occur.
I don't know. I think they were both a bit silly. Like first lap. Yeah, well,
not really.
No, not really.
I don't know. I feel like Stroll could have left more room. Albon could have left more room, and the result is they crashed. I don't know who was sillier, really. Maybe Stroll, but I don't know. It was just first lap. I feel like you play it a bit safer than this from both sides. Harry?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was definitely a closer one. I think probably penalty in the end was fair enough because you'd say Stroll did understeer towards Albon rather than Albon closed him off. But like you say, play it. Albon, mate, you literally get on the radio afterwards and say, I knew he was going to do that. Well, don't go side by side with him there then. If you're worried about it, my guy, just
listen to your own brain.
Back off. Or give him, I'll try and, I don't know. Anyway, I think the penalty was fair in the end. But it's given what's happening on the rest of the lap and the results of that. Yeah.
Can I just say Albon was also an absolute menace this Grand Prix?
He's caused a lot of drama, Mick. He certainly did.
Big Kev telling him to F off after overtaking him was really something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was.
And that's nothing for this race.
God, where do we go next? Big Brain Strat. Should we do that?
Yes.
Hang on.
Play the song, Harry?
Sorry, I'm so bamboozled.
Bob, we're gonna need you to box for wets. What? It's not even raining out. What are you talking about? Yeah, and Bob, if you get a chance, let your teammate pass you. What? He crashed out. He's not even in the race.
Big Brain Strat. Where on earth do we go with this, Sam?
I'm going to give it to a proper one, a genuine proper one. And that is Fernando Alonso reboxing for medium tyres. I actually think genius move. The mediums were so far superior to the hard tyre. And that is why Fernando is still one of the GOATs and why he's still up there as one of the best racing drivers in the world, because that was a perfect call. And look where it got him, 7th place. That Aston Martin is an actual bendy bus that goes around the London city centre. He's driven that bendy bus with a boatload of passengers to 7th place. Incredible stuff. And that call was part of it. So well done, Fernando.
Harry Eid.
Mine's less. Well, no, it's not serious. I'm giving it to the RB team who think it's Vegas week again because they gambled everything on red and put soft tyres on. that last safety car restart. I know Williams did it as well, but both of them, you went, let's do it for both of them. At least split your options, guys. It was a poor call. It did not work.
They weren't quick.
That car, I mean, Tsunoda had an epic start, and then it just kept
lost all the positions.
Kept going backwards.
Later.
Imagine saying at the start of this Grand Prix, 8 out of 10 teams are going to score points in this Grand Prix. One of them's going to be Sauber. None of them are going to be Tsunoda or Lawson. They will be devastated.
I don't even know where I'm going with this big brain strat. I think maybe just Lewis Hamilton and not putting him on something else other than hard tyres. It felt like the opportunity to do something a bit different when, because of the safety cars, like he was still somewhat in contention to get some points. And all the other front-running cars, traditional front-running cars, didn't really have the opportunity to do something a bit different because they'd have lost track position. So maybe Mercedes, and I know George Russell.
I was about to say George
happy
as well. They could have put him on medium tyres.
Yeah,
he was fuming.
Why on these
raging
effing tyres then?
I'm just going to expand it to Merc generally, actually, because they were lucky that their awful pit stop didn't cost them more.
Yeah,
7 seconds, right?
Yeah,
Stuck behind Fernando.
But it was way more than 7 seconds because of where it got them. Like if he was clear of those couple of cars, which even if they'd done like a 3.5, 4 second pit stop, they'd have been fine. At that point, he's stuck, and that strategy would have been really exposed if the race didn't.
If that was a boring Grand Prix, I think he was maximum P8 in that Grand Prix.
Yeah, that wasn't great. I'm completely lost. Harry, did you do yours?
Yeah, I did the RBs for putting on sauce. Yeah.
You did. And you did yours, Sam.
Yeah.
I thought I missed one of you out, and I wasn't sure which one it was, and it was neither of you.
Thanks, lost the plot.
Should we have a review of some bold predictions?
Oh, sure. They've gone brilliantly well.
What was your bold prediction, Sam?
Perez to get a podium.
Nope.
Oh, well.
Harry?
I said that neither Mercedes would be in the top 8. And to be fair,
they tried for you, mate.
Lewis really gave it a good go. And in fact, the Mercedes team in general did. But George Russell just is quite good this season, annoyingly. So he was like, nah, I'm still going to be in the top 5.
Ben, mate, what was yours? I think
what's yours, Ben?
We were quite close, weren't we, with yours?
Hey, my bold prediction was that the same person would get both poles and both wins. And it wasn't part of the bold prediction, but I thought it was going to be Verstappen. They just start your weekend properly. Like, that would have been fine. They got there in the end, but they just didn't work on Friday.
Good. It's a great week for the late breaking boys once again.
I'm glad they didn't get the start of the weekend right, because we'd be sat here arguing whether it counted if Verstappen got pole or not.
And I would have said no.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Well, I already know I said no. I don't care what the morals are. It means to draw with me, so no.
It's not too bad, to be honest. Given Verstappen did win 2 of the 4 sessions, that's 2 points to add to my previous 2 points. So I'm on 4 now. I'm flying.
Ben's playing his own game.
Like, Sam, you're just annoyed because the fact that Ocon's not doing Abu Dhabi means that Alpine teammate wars there's nothing. Like, it's a result.
Don't take it away from me.
No, it's Alpine who's done it to you, mate.
Not
That's
void.
just done.
Imagine.
Right, let's take our final break on this episode. On the other side, moment of the race. Moment of the race. And I do say moment as a singular and not a plural because this could be about 50 different moments, but we'll give it our best shot. Sam, what was your moment of the race?
I know that the boys have got some funny ones, so I am going to go with the shock of the reintroduction of the 10-second stop-go penalty. I was on the stream when it happened. I must have been silent, and this is shocking for many, for about a minute at least, where I was truly bamboozled. I've said that so many times in this podcast as well about this decision. I never thought that would come out. Out of all the bold predictions that we could have predicted, Sauber scoring points I thought was more likely than the reintroduction of the stop-go penalty. And we got both in the same Grand Prix. So not a positive moment, but a really shocking one.
Moment of the race from you, Harry.
I don't know where to start. I've written a few. I won't read them all out because the list is extensive, folks. If you can see that, no, you can't see that. One that really got me on the this is very Sky Sports specific. On the grid, Simon Lazenby asking Rio Ferdinand about football, and the man did not want to talk about football whatsoever. It's just like, nah, I'm not here to talk about that. Go away, Simon. The graphic that said weekend attendance sold out.
Oh my God.
That's not a number.
That's not a number. That doesn't work. So that was good. Alonso's certified GP2 moment. Good to hear him back. Enjoyed that.
Fuming. Yeah.
Fuming. Leclerc saying the way I drive, a puncture's likely. What? Well, don't drive like that then, Charles.
Stop it.
Is the car broken? We've spoken about that. Speak louder, please, from Lando Norris.
This is again McLaren being stupid. Like,
why does he recite the same full line? Like the joke's worn off.
Yeah, he's trying to be funny. He's trying to be funny.
Stop the fucking out.
But it's already been mentioned. Kevin Magnussen overtaking Alex Albon and saying "F off."
Great.
Sorry, Kirsty.
She's properly rolled her eyes there. Do you know what annoyed me about that? One, hilarious line, brilliant line. They make such a bugbear out of this swearing issue. You've then chosen to broadcast a clear swear word.
But that's F1, isn't it? Not the FIA. So they're probably doing it to wind him up.
They're message back to Ben.
I know he's having a right laugh, isn't he?
Yeah, play it. Do it. Anyway, sorry, I've got more on my list, but I'll stop because we will be here for days.
I had two moments of the race written down, and helpfully Harry has picked one of those two. So I won't give it to Kevin Magnussen telling Albon to off, because as funny as that was, really funny. He for just a moment turned into the most British person. I didn't see, because the camera wasn't zoomed in enough. I think he had a can of John Smith in his hand when he said that.
I think he rolled down the window and stuck his fingers out the car. Went, F off.
He had a cigarette in one hand, John
lit.
Smith in another.
Yeah. F off.
Wheeling his car with his elbows.
Kicked in the back, crying.
Yeah, you drive me crazy, kids. Shut it.
And now he's called Steve.
Steve Magnussen. Oh dear.
So that was a contender. But my other one that has kind of already been said throughout this episode was, and I actually have like a late breaking anecdote to compare this to. So I can't remember if we've ever said this on like a Q&A episode, but a while ago, myself and Harry travelled to London, where Sam used to live. And
oh God,
we got you picked us up, and there was a driver who was fairly erratic.
Yes. Look at this story.
And myself and Harry, being helpfully who we are, said, "You should beep at him, Sam." So Sam goes beep, 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 as many times as you possibly can in the space of 10 seconds, and then silence for a few seconds. And I go on, one more. Beep. And that was the one that sent this person wild. Unfortunately, we just about survived to tell this tale. The reason I say this anecdote was Williams have been through so much with their cars breaking down, crash after crash after crash. I think it was 16 was mentioned on the actual broadcast. Wow. Colapinto crashes in the first corner, and Williams and like mechanics are there like, oh, if we have to do one more, and then the mirror falls off, and that's the thing that sends them like, no, I'm done now.
We haven't got any mirrors left. Sorry, you can't have another mirror.
Just torch the whole garage at this point. Get Maldonado back in.
Oh dear.
What have our Discord submitters managed to narrow their choices down to?
Right, crikey, there's a lot here. I mean, there are a lot of you that submitted, so thank you so much. We'll get through as many as possible. Hazard is first.
Right, boys, my moment of the race for Qatar was Kevin Magnussen's dirty, filthy, naughty overtake, 2 trailer park girls style, round the outside of Yuki Tsunoda at turn 1. Absolute filth. Cheers, boys.
I'm surprised he did that without swearing as well.
That was a good move, actually. It goes underrated.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Hybrid Ship 982.
Hey guys, Hybrid Ship back again, and I gotta say, moment of the race, by far, had to be when Albon's mirror fell off, because that race was kind of becoming a little bit of a snooze fest, but ever since Bottas ran over Albon's mirror, oh boy, it has been great racing all the way until the checkered flag. Just the best. All right, take care, guys.
Got Steve's kicked in the back.
Child in the background.
Great racing is a choice of words.
There was some action. I wouldn't say there was great racing. Anyway, Sour Patch. Thank you for that. Sour Patch Kid is next.
Moment of the race, gotta be Zhou Guan Yu. Not for his driving, though, for that epic radio message. We saw Lance Stroll just drive right into Albon. Hilarious. Great pod. Keep it up, boys.
Yeah, so, Zhou had a couple of sassy moments, didn't he? He also told his engineer to F off as well.
Yeah. Alonso did a 25.5. I don't care. I'm going really fast.
Yeah. That Stroll moment was very funny, but I am keen to ensure that this race is not remembered from Zhou's side because of that radio message. He can't have that much of a good Grand Prix to be remembered for a sassy quote about Lance Stroll on lap 1.
So true, and that is exactly what will happen, though.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Real Dad and James are back.
It's Real Dad and James. We've been away for a while, but now we're back. Moment of the race, Qatar. What a race.
Moment of the race, probably Alex Albon and Bottas planning a hit on Hamilton and Sainz. I mean, great job. Should really be implemented in the Hitman 4 game. Just keep doing what you're doing, guys.
My moment, poor Lando. Very controversial there. A bit of British bias. Did he lift off? Was it double yellow? I don't know. But anyway, Max won and over and out. Thank you, guys.
Soppy moment here. We have been doing submissions for a long time, and I remember when James used to sound like an actual child.
Well, that's how long they've been away. He's now a man.
He now sounds like a young man, and his voice is broken.
Sam discovers growing up.
It's been that long. That's crazy.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Mocked for being nice.
No, we're not allowed that here. On Uncommon Hoodlum is next.
I haven't got the slightest idea how I'm meant to pick just one moment, but if I have to go with one, I'm gonna have to give it to Pierre Gasly. Let's get the sausages out for our boy. It pains me to see the Haas team probably losing P6 in the Constructors' Championship. Those are my boys, but I gotta give sausages where the sausages are due. Keep breaking late.
Harry, can you just say that last part of his name again, please?
Stanley Tucci.
The actual submitter.
What, Hoodlum?
Ah, okay. You called it Hoodlum, and I didn't know if you could say
Hoodlum.
Hoodlum.
Uncommon Hoodlum. No, I can't read or speak. Thank you for that. Next is Kmart, if I can find them on the list. There you go. Kmart 10.
Hey, fellas, moment of the race. I got to get 2 in here. First, Sergio Perez being overtaken in the pit lane on the sprint by Franco Frappuccino. And second, Zhou Guan Yu dragging that freaking green dump truck to P8 and beating Perez. Zhou Guan Yu 2025 Red Bull seat, calling it right now.
Sure.
Hey, it's Magnussen's to lose.
Next up is Hindu.
What's up, guys? Long time listener, first time poster. Moment of the race on me was the one lap where Sauber had double points. But other than that, Guan Yu Zhou had a terrific drive and well-deserved points.
You know the meme where the weird cartoon character is reaching out to grab something, and then like the sun is behind him pulling away, and Bottas, it's like Bottas P10, and then Lando's behind him like, no, P11, back you come.
Bye now.
Bye now. You had it for one lap.
Poor Valtteri.
2 laps later, he's beaten it by like 8 seconds.
Oh dear. Next is George Nandolos.
Hi, everyone. This is George Nandalos. That was a ridiculous race, but my moment of the race came at the beginning on Albon's radio when he was talking about Stroll banging into him, and he sounded so defeated. I knew he was going to do it. I could just tell.
So why'd you let him do it?
Thank you for that, George Nandalos. Next we have oh my god, I've lost him. Next we have Ben from Idaho.
Ben from Idaho here. I was watching the live stream with Sam, and about halfway through the race, he said, I hope the second half of the race is exciting. Well, I think he got what he wished for. My moment of the race is Lewis Hamilton. He wanted to retire. The team told him to keep going. And then the next lap, the team told him to retire, and he was just like, nah, I'm going to finish this. Just brilliant.
Did they obviously say don't retire because they have to serve the penalty in Abu Dhabi in some respect because he wouldn't have completed his drive-through? And that's why at that point they said you can't retire the car.
Maybe, but then why then when they say retired, he doesn't do it?
Yeah, that bit's still hilarious.
Yeah, that could well be why it'd stop him. But anyway, ridiculous. Finally, we have Dan the Garbage Man.
Hey, late breakers. Dan the Garbage Man here. Long time, first time. My moment of the race was when the FIA race director, took the existing rubric for handing out penalties, poured petrol all over it, set it alight, threw it out on the tarmac, and jumped up and down on it. Metaphorically, of course. Keep breaking late.
A great summary of what just happened.
I didn't know such a thing existed, but I think you've done a very good job there. Is that the last one?
Last one.
We've got to the end of them.
I am exhausted.
Yeah, I yes.
That's a very good point. Well made, Harry. We're going to be back midweek, obviously, where we'll be having an Abu Dhabi preview, but no doubt there will be some fallout from this Grand Prix weekend.
Ocon's already falling out.
It's
off to the ground.
We've got plenty more, Sam. We've got power rankings.
We do. We've got to go and do our power rankings now. So if you're a Patreon member, remember you'll get those on your Monday. If you'd like to hear our power rankings and how we rated all of the drivers throughout that absolutely chaotic race day, then you need to go and subscribe. You get loads of other things as well. You get your beer with breaking, a classic Grand Prix review. Everything is ad free, and you get 2 extra episodes every single month. And there's currently a survey going around for both Patreon subscribers and non-Patreon subscribers. Links down below. Patreon users, you can find it on your feed as well. Please fill it out. Please answer the questions. Please give us pointers because it allows us to know what you are enjoying, what you're not enjoying, and what we can alter, change to make the experience as good as possible for you. Discord's available. Get in there if you want to hear your submission for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Of course, you can get that there. Late Breaking F1, follow us everywhere. YouTube is Late Breaking F1 as well. This has been video recorded, and you will see our faces on your television screens. Give it a like, give it a subscribe. We're doing really well, so thank you for the support there. That's everything. This has been a nightmare. In the meantime, I've been Samuel Sage.
I've been Ben Hocking.
And I've been Harry Eade.
And remember, keep breaking late.